So now we are doing that also. So we are. Anyway, welcome everybody. This is Hollywood Hangout. I am Boxman, and I've got a great little movie for you guys tonight. I love this movie. I think it is so awesome. I think it's a fun movie. It's not a long movie. This shouldn't take us very long to get through, but tonight I am going to be talking a nice action movie, an action thriller movie. I'm going to be talking Stone Cold from 1991. This is starring Brian Bosworth. Yes, that Brian Bosworth. Lance Henriksen and William Forsyth. Now, a few more actors I will get into that are kind of side actors in this movie, but I do want to mention because they are kind of important, and there's someone we've seen, and there's a few actors in this movie I've actually been wanting to talk about that I don't think I ever have. I don't think I've ever talked about William Forsyth. I don't think I've ever... Oh, Jesus, I have so many things open here. I don't think I've ever really talked about Lance Henriksen before. So there's a few actors in this movie I'm definitely wanting to get into, and William Forsyth is definitely one of them. The guy has so much range. He's been in so many... I mean, everything from comedies to action movies to, Steven Seagal movies. He's been in so many movies, but the guy is just great. He was even in Deuce Bigalow 2, the, European Gigolo. He was in that one. He was the cop. If you guys remember, he was the cop in that one. Oh, no. It was the first one, I believe he was the cop. It was the first one. It was Deuce Bigalow, the first one, the original one. He was the police officer in that one. So, but as I said, we are talking that movie, Stone Cold. So, I'll tell you what. I got two trailers. I have the original trailer and what is being called a throwback trailer. So I'm going to go ahead and play the trailers real quick. And let me just make sure. I think I even hit record on Mixler this time. It's almost like I know what the fuck I'm doing. I forgot to do that last week. I had the whole show rolling. I was doing this. I was doing that. I forgot to actually connect Mixler last week for Captain Phillips, which I thought was a really good show. I enjoyed doing that one. I'm going to go ahead and play these trailers. I'm going to start out with the original trailer. Please remember this was 1991, everybody, and this is probably about as good as you're going to get for 1991. So here we go. Trailer number 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brian Bosworth.
You know, all my life people have had the wrong idea about me.
I don't like cops who make up the rules as they go.
They say I push things just a little too far. They accuse me of being insensitive. They basically say that I lack the ability to get along with others. So just to prove these people wrong, I decided to join a very exclusive and private club. Oh yes, it's very plush. And the membership, very select. And games, we play some games. A perfect place for me, wouldn't you think?
You just picked up the wrong passenger, buddy!
Mr. Brian Bosworth requests the pleasure of your company. Stone Cold.
All right. So y'all see what we're getting into here tonight. We've got Harleys. We've got helicopters. We've got chases. We've got explosions. We've got my kind of fucking movie here, folks. This is my kind of movie right here. I love this kind of movie, especially the biker movies. I always liked them. Actually, one of my most watched videos on YouTube, thank you to everybody, is Beyond the Law, the true story of a undercover cop that goes or a cop that goes undercover into the biker world and takes down a bunch of them. This story is not much different. Brian Bosworth does play a cop who is suspended. Charlie Sheen was a cop who got fired in Beyond the Law. FBI takes both of them under their wing while they're suspended and or fired. So these movies do have a lot in common, but this movie was not a true story. It was pretty much all fiction, but still a great story. And real quick, I'm going to go ahead and also get that other trailer loaded up for you guys real quick. This is the throwback trailer. That's what they're calling it. And give me a second. Ooh, that one's loud. We're going to have to turn that one down. We will turn that one down, actually, right now. We can do that. All right, let's go ahead and get this one played also.
The Brotherhood. They're an underworld on wheels. They answer to no law. They live by one rule.
God forgives, the Brotherhood doesn't.
There's only one man tough enough and crazy enough to take them on.
You just picked up the wrong passenger, buddy!
He's an undercover cop doing a good job with a bad attitude. If you're on the wrong side of the law, he'll leave you stone cold. Brian Bosworth. He's the outsider on the inside. He's turning up the heat. He'll burn you. Stone cold.
All right, so there we go with that. So there you go. Got to see a little bit of Brian Bosworth and his fantastic hair. My God, he feathers that stuff amazingly in the back. Now, I don't know, folks. You guys can call me crazy, but I know Stone Cold Steve Austin tells the story of how he got the name while he was drinking tea. His wife said, "Don't let your tea go stone cold." I still say he got it from this movie. I really do. The whole biker look, the vest, just the whole thing. I still say it came from this movie. I don't care what anyone says. But anyway, you see how much fun we're getting into in this movie. And like I said, I'm really excited to get into this movie, if you can't tell. Let's go ahead and since we saw that, we're going to talk about a few actors we just saw. Now, there was a line we just heard in that movie about... that said, God forgives, the Brotherhood doesn't. Now, believe it or not, actually we heard it in the trailer, the United States military, the Army, not the military academy, the Army football team actually started using that line as a team slogan for years after some of them heard it in this film. Now, that is a real saying by the Brotherhood, so I mean, they finally removed it because it became kind of synonymous with the Aryan Brotherhood, but that was used, and there are a few more lines in this movie that we're going to get into, but let's go ahead and kick this off talking first about Brian Bosworth, a controversial character from the 80s who, not only controversial controversial from college to the NFL, kind of just a controversial guy all around. Everyone knew him as the Boz. He was obviously a former football player. He grew up actually in Irving, Texas, which is a couple hours down from me, a couple hours west. Showed promise for football early age, where and he started developing his skills. Went to University of Oklahoma under Barry Switzer. I've heard that name. I'm not a big sports fan. At Oklahoma, though, he became one of the most dominant linebackers in college football history. He played for the Sooners from 84 to 86. During his time there, he helped lead the team to 2 consecutive Big 8 conference titles and a national championship in 1985. 2 awards while he was at Oklahoma were he was a 2-time Butkus winner, obviously named after Dick Butkus. From 1985 and 1986, that meant he recognizes him as the best linebacker in college football. And he got All-American honors both in 1985 and 86 also. But this is where the controversy started. He frequently was clashing with the NCAA. He actually wore a T-shirt on the sidelines of a 1987 Orange Bowl game. The T-shirt said NCAA, National Communists Against Athletes, on the sideline. He wore that shirt on the sideline during a game. They eventually declared him ineligible due to steroid use, ending his college career permanently. He then went over to the Seattle Seahawks from 1987 to 1989 in the supplemental draft is where he went over there. And he did sign one of the most lucrative rookie contracts at the time, a 10-year deal worth $11 million. His expectations, obviously they expected a lot from him paying him that, but he didn't do that. He actually ended up with a shoulder injury that actually killed a lot of his playing time, and he actually retired in 1989 at the young age of 24 years old. Now, one of the most infamous moments in his NFL career was when the LA Raiders running back Bo Jackson bulldozed him in his 1987 game, and that kind of just killed his legacy at all. So what he decided to do was try to make a transition to acting. And actually, this film we are talking about tonight was the first film he has ever been in. This was supposed to be his big-time acting debut. Now, this film didn't do great, especially not in the box office. Had a budget of $25 million, made $9 million. But it has grown as that cult following, which for some reason I like to do on these shows, these little cult following movies. I don't know why, but I always end up doing these kind of movies. He was in a movie called One Man's Justice in 1996, and if you remember Adam Sandler's Longest Yard in 2005, he was one of the prison guards in that movie, actually. He had a few more little things through, but not really anything coming into the 2000s, and I don't think he's done anything. Let me go right quick to his IMDb here. And yeah, he really hasn't done anything since 2022. He did some sort of short. He's been in some videos, but really, I mean, he was also in The Three Kings with Mark Wahlberg and George Clooney. Great movie. So he's definitely had a few things, but this movie where he played Joe Huff / John Stone was his acting debut into all this right here. So, keep going just a little bit here. So now, obviously, he's pretty much known for just kind of, number one, his hair, but kind of just being an outspoken and kind of just this rebel. Even to where he was, I mean, back in the 80s, he was putting out T-shirts with Boz and stuff on them, and he really was trying to do a lot of stuff to keep his name out there. But he really didn't get too far after in his acting career. You'll see him in things here and there, but that's about it. Now he did sue the NFL at one point for not allowing him to wear his college number 44 as a linebacker. He lost and was forced to wear number 55. He also co-authored a memoir titled The Boz, Confessions of a Modern Antihero. This was in 1988. Kind of detailed all the controversies through his football career. And he was also a commentator for the XFL in 2001. I almost forgot about that. But he was. He was a commentator for the XFL back in 2001, also when that first kicked off, the smash mouth football back in those days. So there you go. That is Brian Bosworth. That is the main character in the movie. Now, we've also got Lance Henriksen. Now, folks, Aliens, Hard Target, Alien 3, Alien vs. Predator. This guy has been back for many Alien movies. But has done a lot of other things in the meantime. This guy, excuse me. I'm sure we all know who Lance Henriksen is. He's been in a ton of great movies. Started back in the early, 1975 in Dog Day Afternoon. He was the detective in that movie. That's a great movie from Pacino. Young Pacino is in that movie. And just unbelievable. But this guy's got an acting career that spans over 40 years, and Lance Henriksen is just one bad son of a bitch. Now, I'm not going to go through a ton, but I will go through a few little notes about him. Now, he was actually illiterate up to the age of 30, where he learned to read actually by studying scripts for the movies he was trying out for. Now, him and Bill Paxton are the only two actors to face off against a Terminator, an Alien, and a Predator. Now, I've given that fact about Bill Paxton, but I did not know that Lance Henriksen joins him in that little factoid there. Now, he was actually the first choice to play the Terminator in James Cameron's Terminator 1984. But he thought it would, once they started going through it, Henriksen said the concept changed and Arnold Schwarzenegger was cast, and he ended up making Aliens. So it actually was just fine. Once, 2 years later, James Cameron made the Aliens movie, brought him in for that, and was just fine with that. So, but yeah, he is just an absolute badass actor, and we will see him. He plays Chains. He plays pretty much the absolute heel bad guy in this movie. Then we have Mr. William Forsyth, everybody. Movies like Raising Arizona, The Devil's Rejects, Dick Tracy, Out for Justice. Actually, William Forsyth was filming Out for Justice with Steven Seagal during this screenplay. Or during filming this, he was actually filming Out for Justice at the same time. Now, to avoid scheduling conflicts, he'd actually alternate between filming during the week. He'd go to one, then go to the other, then go to one, then go to the other. So, pretty crazy, though. Pretty crazy. But Lance Henriksen, though, or William Forsyth, I'm sorry, we're done with Lance. William Forsyth, though, is another actor who is just one of those versatile actors that you don't even know it's him. Again, I said he was in the Deuce Bigalow movie. He was in, the guy's got 158 credits to his name. He's been in a ton of movies, still acting today. Actually, right before the show, I watched a movie with him and Liam Neeson called Cold Pursuit. Had William Forsyth in it. Great movie, actually. If you haven't seen that, you might want to actually check that out. It's a really good movie. Been in things, he's got upcoming movies, actually writing movies and TV shows right now. Coming out, Primitive, 9 Windows, something called A Christmas Cop, which I just don't even want to see. But he's been in so many things, this guy, and he's just one of those great actors. He actually, if you remember, he played Sammy the Bull Gravano in the HBO movie Gotti. He played Sammy the Bull. Oh my God, probably one of his best parts was that part right there. But William Forsyth is just an absolute amazing actor. He's been in so many things, and he's just, you usually know him by his voice, because that's just kind of one of the things. He's got kind of that little, it kind of sounds like a mobster when he talks. But he definitely is just one of those. Actually, one of his trademarks on IMDb is his deep, authoritative voice. So there you go. But that is another one. And there's a girl who plays Nancy in this movie, who's one of the who's the sort of love interest of Brian Bosworth and Lance Henriksen's girlfriend in the movie. She plays Nancy, and now she as actually was born in England, and she doesn't have too many credits to her name, I'll be honest. She's only got like 25 credits to her name. She was in The Bad News Bears with Billy Bob Thornton. She played Sherry Bullock in that movie. She was in a couple episodes of Alias. She really did not do a lot of things. This was her second movie she did, and honestly, I bet you haven't heard of any other movie she's done. She was in a few TV series, a few shorts, but not really anything big. But an incredibly beautiful girl, or incredibly beautiful actress, and just didn't really do too much. But we will see her as we go through, and like I said, there was a couple other actors in this movie I want to talk about really quickly. First of all, there's a guy in this movie I want to talk about. His name is Sam McMurray. Now, I'm going to put a picture up here of him. I know you can't see that on audio, but YouTubers can see that, and I appreciate them. So, this guy, Sam McMurray, we've all seen. We all know him. He has been in... You want to talk about a guy who has done so much stuff. I remember him way back in the 80s when I was a kid from the Tracy Ullman Show. He was in that show. He's done various episodes of The Simpsons. He was in Freaks and Geeks. He was in Friends. He was Chandler's boss that would slap him on the ass in Friends. King of Queens, Breaking Bad. He's been in films like Raising Arizona, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. He was Clark's friend in that movie from The Office. L.A. Story, Addams Family Values. And he's also done a lot of voice acting. So this is one person I did want to go ahead and mention to everybody. He is a very well-known actor who just doesn't get enough credit, but is in so many things, and I thought I would bring him up because it's kind of what I like to do. I like to bring up the actors that no one really thinks about, and he's definitely one of them. Now, another actor in this movie, now deal with me on this, is Richard Gant. I know what you're thinking. I've seen this guy before. Yes, you have seen him in hundreds of movies, TV shows. He even played 3 different characters in the TV show NYPD Blue. But he has been in a ton of movies. He was in Jason Goes to Hell, Bean, the Mr. Bean thing movie. Give me a sec. I'm going back. He was in... Let me just go back here. Let me just go all the way back. I mean, we go back for him all the way back to the... We go back to 1980 and Night of the Juggler. Never even heard of that, but... Okay, this was actually a pretty early movie for him, but he was in Rocky V, if you remember George Washington Duke. That was this guy, Richard Gant. That was him in Rocky V. He was in, L.A. Law. He was in a couple episodes. He was in Renegade a couple episodes. One episode of, he was in the TV show Wings. I remember that TV show. But he was also, the picture I have right there is from the Transformer movie. He didn't have a very big part, but he was in one of the Transformers movies. I think it was the 4th or 5th one, maybe even the 6th one. Let me see here. Which one? Doesn't even credit him for that, but he was in one of the Transformers movies. So there you go. That is Richard Gant, though. I just wanted to bring him up, and I've got one other guy I wanted to bring up that is in this movie. Doesn't have a huge part, but he was in the movie Bloodsport, and his name is Paolo Tocca. Or not, I doubt it's Tocha. I think it's Tocca. Now, this guy was in, again, Bloodsport, has been in a few Van Damme movies, actually. Blood In, Blood Out, In Hell. That 2003 movie from Van Damme was in that also. And he's one of the guys, actually, believe it or not, because of the appearance he had in Bloodsport back in the 80s, he's actually one of the people known for bringing the actual Muay Thai style to the United States in the correct way when he had his hands up the way he did and was doing everything the way he was. It was real Muay Thai, and not a lot of people had seen that before. Man, my dogs are extremely loud tonight, and I don't know why no one will tell them to be quiet. They're quieting. No, they're not. No, they're not. But, all right, those are the three kind of extra actors I wanted to talk about in the movie. I really think now we can kind of get into the movie itself. I don't see why we can't. Listen, folks, this isn't a long movie. It's about an hour and 32 minutes, and I don't have a ton of stuff in here for it, though, to be honest with you. It's a great movie. Like I said, this was Brian Bosworth's transition into acting, so it wasn't the best acting performance from him, but it wasn't bad at all. Now, one of the things in this film that gave it a little bit of credit was Lance Henriksen. Being who he was, he played, again, the villain Chains Cooper in this movie. And he's one of the standout performers in this film, which actually gave the movie a little credibility, him being known for the Alien movies and the Terminator movies. So gave the movie a little credibility. Now, we're going to see some motorcycle stunts in this movie. Now, if you go back to 1991, you got to remember there wasn't a lot of CGI. It was not very technologically advanced back then, way less advanced at that time. So in this movie, the stunts they do are real stunts with stuntmen and not CGI. So pretty cool once again to see all that and just kind of how the movie breaks down. But the motorcycle that Brian Bosworth is riding is actually, you can see it here. Nope, that's not it. You can see this is it, and it was his actual personal motorcycle that he rode daily. This was his personal bike that he built. So they let him use it in the movie because he was more comfortable riding it, and it was allowed. So they told him, hey, why not? Go for it. But this movie's also known for, like I said, it's just got explosions. I mean, helicopters crashing into the Mississippi Capitol building. So much stuff going on in this movie. It really is just a great action-packed movie. Now, when this movie came out, Brian Bosworth was still kind of living in that football persona shadow, the Boz. And immediately he kind of thought that was why some critics were kind of shitting on his acting. But the tough guy gimmick that he had kind of worked there, the image that he had kind of worked with this film, just kind of this being that macho kind of film. Now, this film was directed by Craig R. Baxley. He was actually a former stunt coordinator. And this was actually his only feature film that he ever directed, or did, really. Now, originally, this role that Bosworth played was actually not supposed to go to him. It was supposed to go to someone like Don Johnson or Mickey Rourke. But after both of them said no, like, let's just get Brian Bosworth. So they did. Now, the marketing for this movie was also controversial because I mean, even we saw the trailer, that was kind of the football Brian Bosworth, not the Stone Cold Brian Bosworth. So that's why it was controversial. They thought that it wasn't emphasizing the movie, but more Brian Bosworth, and that might be why it hurt. It was hurt at the box office. I don't know about all that. I don't know if that's really anything to do with it, but let's go ahead and kind of get into the movie. Again, I didn't want to. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this movie. It is what it is. It is an action movie. There's a lot of action sequences, a lot of fighting, a lot of explosions, a lot of motorcycle chases, a car chase. There's everything in this movie that I love. So let's go ahead and here, I got to take that out right there. Let's go ahead and get the movie started. I got a few clips I do want to play and a few things I'll let you know as we go through it. So let's go ahead and kind of get into the movie itself a little bit. We start out, pretty much we're going to start out, we see, the movie starts out, and they're showing a grocery store. Let me take Brian Bosworth's bike off here. We see a grocery store. That's where the movie starts, and we see Brian Bosworth walking around, kind of acting like a douche in the grocery store, and we see the grocery store is being robbed. Now, he goes through right away and actually takes out all three guys. The cops finally get there. And that's where we find out he's still suspended, and he just walks out. This is where we see a little bit of the bikers. We see a little bit of what they're doing. They're out there shooting guns off each other's shoulders and heads and shooting Uzis and having a good time. But we also see one of the bikers go in and kill a preacher, and they show him being sentenced to 45 years, and they immediately threaten the judge. Say, you're dead. 6 minutes into the movie, he's blown up on a boat while he's going fishing. Dead. And this is kind of where we meet Joe Huff. He's not John Stone yet, but Joe Huff. And I kind of want to play this because there's something playing in the background here. So what he's doing is he's sitting here and he's making what you think is a protein shake, but it's really for his Komodo dragon that he has as a pet. But I'm going to go ahead and play this scene right here. There's someone in the background that might sound familiar to you guys. Let's see. All right, so if you just listened, that is at the time, completely unknown Sheryl Crow. That is Sheryl Crow singing in the background right there. Like I said, at that time, way unknown, but there you go. Now, what he's making here, I do want to kind of point out what he's making here. Now, this meal he's making it's just nasty. Now, I said he did have a big lizard, or actually, this is a Nile monitor, not a Komodo dragon. This would be the worst meal he's ever given them, with the orange juice. Reptiles can't digest citrus fruit very well, or dairy. The potatoes and bananas wouldn't be that bad, but he was putting fried potato chips in there. This would be horrible for this lizard, actually. Absolutely horrible. It really should be eating mice, rats, rabbits, chickens, live or dead. But that's what it should be eating. It shouldn't be this. But, they were just kind of joking around in the movie. But I guess. But this is where he's sitting there and he meets the FBI. And like I said, kind of exactly like Beyond the Law, it happens here too. The FBI pulls him in and is like, hey, while you're on suspension, why don't you come work for us? And this is where he's in the car with Richard Gant and Sam McMurray, and they are talking to him about
Officer Huff.
This.
Special Agent in charge, Frank Cunningham.
He's aware of your 3-week suspension for insubordination.
James Cooper runs the Brotherhood in Mississippi.
They've been on a killing spree. 3 local religious figures were murdered there in the last month. They convicted one Brotherhood biker of it, and the day after the sentencing, the judge was found dead.
Yeah, I read about it. We know they're responsible, we just can't prove it. We also suspect them of working with the mafia, trying to branch out nationwide into drugs, contract hits, prostitution, you name it. Washington wants to shut them down.
So then,
You're not investigating me.
You've logged more biker-related arrests than any other officer in Alabama. So how would you go about nailing these guys?
The agent infiltrates the organization, turns a witness, sets up a sting, nabs him in the act. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah. I'd give him 3 days before they drag his ass down the interstate. Don't you think that if they take a prospect...
Prospect?
Prospect.
A prospect's a new member on probation.
Oh, like a fraternity brother.
Yeah.
How do you feel about working in Mississippi under FBI jurisdiction? We can arrange to have your suspension lifted. We want you to go undercover inside the Brotherhood. Agent Dockery would be your contact in the field.
Call me Lance.
All right. So there you go. This is where they're pulling him in. This is where it starts, folks. This is right where it all starts here. They got him. They're pulling him in while he's on suspension. Why not? So Lance is going to be kind of his shadow, which is Sam McMurray. He goes there in the morning to pick him up. He sees an incredibly beautiful girl in Brian Bosworth's bed. And if you've heard any of the stories about Brian Bosworth, many beautiful women have left his room. That man supposedly has gotten a lot of trim. But they immediately go to the strip club, and this Lance guy looks ridiculous. He looks ridiculous. Sam McMurray looked absolutely... I mean, you could tell he's definitely not a biker. He's probably a cop. He's probably a cop. So he looks like one. So they immediately kind of go into the bar, and it's the bar where Chains and the Brotherhood hangs out. Now, Brian Bosworth isn't even scared. He basically runs right up to William Forsyth, who plays Ice in this movie, and they basically jump right in, and he gets right into it. He doesn't bullshit. Here it is.
Hey, Ice! Ice!
Answer me a question.
How come your old lady's been eyeing my tail all night?
My, what have we got here? Huh? Looks like we got us a grown-up version of Bam Bam.
By the way, that was a completely improvised line by William Forsyth that ended up staying in the movie. That's why everybody laughed, because it was improvised, and that stayed in the movie.
Sure are pretty Bam Bam. Look, I just asked a question. No, you real pretty boy. Ain't he pretty boy? Mm-hmm. You got a real pretty face, huh? How'd you like me to fuck it up for you, huh? What do you want?
I just got out of the pen. I thought I heard you boys were the heavy hitters in town, but I guess I was wrong.
Oh, you yardbird motherfucker, huh?
I did my time.
Pretty boy like you must have done some painful time. You gonna use that stick? You won't dance with me.
Ice! Get down here! Ice!
All right, that's Nancy yelling, and she's got a little trouble with a guy who's kind of saying he wants his money back. And they go down there, and boy, there is a hell of a fight, and Brian Bosworth jumps right in and fights with the Brotherhood, with the bikers, and they just kick the shit out of everybody, as you guys can see. They beat the hell out of everybody, which gets Gut, a prospect, kind of interested in talking to him. Gut's kind of a scared guy, but he takes a liking to John, whatever you want to call him. The next day, they invite him to kind of a thing, and it's a kind of a rally, more of a party. They're just out there once again, just having a great fucking time, having motorcycle races, fights. Bosworth fights this guy who literally. All right, for the wrestling fans out there, I'm gonna put a little picture of this guy up here and go, holy crap! I think this is Kenny Omega's brother. If you look at this guy, Kenny Omega's fucking brother right here for the wrestling fans of this show. But as we keep going, like I said, he's kind of getting the attention of Chains. Not so much Ice. Ice always kind of thinks, William Forsythe's character always thinks there's something wrong with this guy. There's something we can't trust about this guy. So they start talking to him about this, that, and Chains decides to leave Nancy with him as a gift. Now, you guys haven't seen Nancy yet. I'll go ahead and tell you, this is Nancy right here. Her name is actually very hard to pronounce. Arabella Holzbog. Holzbog. There you go. Arabella Holzbog. Beautiful name. Beautiful woman. But there she is right there. And he doesn't do it, obviously, because he's a cop. But Ice right there tells him, I don't know, man. This guy's kind of out of nowhere and just throwing his weight around. Something ain't right. Something ain't right. Ice tells him, don't worry, I see money. Don't worry about it. And we finally, now they're also after this guy. I think his name is Whipperton. Hold on, let me check that real quick. Yes, Brent Whipperton, who's the Attorney General, I believe. And they call him the Whip. Now, they're after this guy because he is wanting to prosecute every biker out on the street. So you're going to hear him mention the Whip a little bit in this movie. And that is why they are going after him, too. But as we keep going through here, a couple more minutes in, this is where we see Chains and a couple of the motorcycle guys having a little meeting with this really militant type guy who they're doing a little business deal with. He's kind of one of those off the grid military kind of guys. You know who I'm talking about. Those militia type guys. Yeah. That's what this is. And they are setting a plan to take out the Whip. So that is exactly what this guy is in on. And this is when we finally see Joe Huff finally gets pulled up. He pulls up to their little compound they're in. And we kind of get the first meeting between John Stone and Chains. And what the hell? Here it is.
Hey, man.
What's up, James?
What's that?
It's a little present.
He's handing him a bulletproof vest for the audio.
You're gonna need this when we do business.
Hey, what is it? A letter bomb, man? Open that.
Bulletproof vest, man.
This is government issue, man. Where did you get it?
Hey, don't play games with me, Chains. Half my stash is government issue. So's every pistol in this room. Including that piece in your pants.
Joey boy, let's try this on. Around, let's see how it looks. Turn around. Jump down, turn around.
So he tests out the bulletproof vest. It works. He even says, well, that worked. Ah, hell. Let's just keep going here for a minute.
Guess it worked.
Oh, Chains, my man.
All right. A quick brawl is what we see here. I'm really pushing it with all the music behind this stuff here. Hopefully YouTube will let it fly. They usually do. Ice, William Forsyth's character, pulls a knife and says, this motherfucker deserves to die. And they start talking about brotherhood and all that stuff. And basically they're wanting him to kind of join. But basically they're sending him down to Pensacola, Florida. And he's supposed to kill this guy they just call Bolivian, who actually is Paolo, that we talked about earlier in the show. Now, he is supposed to kill him, but he doesn't. What he does is, they want an ear, so he actually takes a picture of the guy's ear. I don't know where he gets an ear, but he gets another ear, and he has a tattoo artist tattoo the same it had a spider web in it, and he had a tattoo artist actually do it. And then they show it to Chains. So there you go. But the guy is still alive, but you're not supposed to know that. None of us are supposed to know that. So they're going through, and now this is where they're starting to get, Joe's getting really into the gang at this point. They're really starting to trust him. He actually goes on a job with Nancy and another gang member, and they go, and the mafia sees him. Again, there were some things with the mafia. The mafia sees him and throws a grenade and blows up the other truck biker. Blows him up. A car explodes, puts him through a window, and he is fucked up. But, of course, they steal the money from Nancy, but it was only $400, so Joe gives her $400, and says, "Hey, don't forget where that came from." But they're all at the hospital to see their guy who got blown up. They're promising him this, promising him that, and we're gonna get the fucking guy that did this to you. And he is just jacked the fuck up. So there you go. Now we get a drug deal. I accidentally got rid of that. We get a little bit of drug talk between Joe and Chains right here. This is where we're going to get right about, let's go here. I don't want to show that because I don't want to get kicked off YouTube. Here we go. This is where the drug deal goes down. This is when Joe Huff brings him something they call in this movie P2P. Wait. I'm sorry. I hit the wrong button, folks.
Is that what I think it is?
P2P.
See, now you're talking, Stone.
I know a driver itching to unload 12 tons of it. I need protection and a buyer. Just remember, it's my deal.
I got a buyer.
Who?
The Wops.
Not Dimitri.
No, not Dimitri. He's out of business. His head is all fucked up.
Dimitri is who killed or almost killed the other biker when they were on that run just a few minutes ago. Now they do go, and they do meet with the mafia. They meet with a different side of the mafia, I guess. No, it's not, because what they do is they bring him a helmet. And he's like, "Oh, very nice helmet." And it's got the full visor on it. And they go, "Oh, open it." Well, it's Dimitri's head stuffed in the helmet. So definitely was killed. But they make a deal with him for this, for a truckload of this stuff. And there it goes. Now, before we get to this, though, Ice and Chains have a little talk. And let's go ahead and play this little talk they have. Because, again, Ice is still worried. So here we go. Let's go ahead and play this.
You gonna fuck with my serenity, Ice?
I think we should talk.
I know why you're here, man. That fear is gonna rot your heart out.
My fear? So far, bro, I'm the only one that's been doing any of the killing. You wanna know what my fears are, brother? My fear is that this boy Stone has got you wrapped around his little finger. That's my fear. We got a lot at stake. I'm afraid I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. He's gonna be in on everything, you know. Gonna be in on the whip. I don't trust the man.
Hey, if I want to, I'll milk him to a gourd, man. I'll chop his arms and legs off, and I'll weld him into a steel tank and drop him in the bayou.
That was a lot.
So fuck you, man. The whip's mine. Covert. D-Day.
Real covert. Yeah, I don't like what I'm saying, brother.
I don't like what I'm hearing, man.
So there we go with that. Yeah. So see, I told you, he's Ice. I saw him for what he was right in the beginning. He knew something was up, and he thought he was a cop. Chains just sees money. He sees business, and that's all he's caring about in this movie. But we go through right after this, and this is where they start doing. He's talking to Lance Boz in a bathroom, and as he's talking to Lance, he walks out, or he's still talking to him. But while he's doing this, the biker gang is taking over a military place, and I mean, they're not supposed to, but they kill these two military guards. They're on base now, getting whatever weapons they need, and Nancy is not having it. She is pissed, and Gut is telling them, look, I didn't sign up for this shit. This is not what I signed up for. And they stick his hand in the spokes of a bike, ooh, while it's running. But Nancy does, or Boz does find Nancy that night, and they have a little talk. And here now, before this, I want to say Chains had called a friend of his in the state troopers to check on John Stone and see who he was. So we'll get that in a few minutes here, but let's go ahead and play this clip. I only got a couple clips left after this.
I'm looking for you.
Where have you been all day?
What's the matter?
Chains killed.
Chains killed who?
One minute it was a practical joke. And the next minute there's two guardsmen dead.
And you saw this happen?
God, I should have split this scene before it got weird. Before D-Day. Before Chains flipped.
Wait a minute, what do you mean D-Day? What's going on here?
That's what Chains needs all his money for. That's why he pushed his luck with the mob. That's why he went for your deal.
Do you know anything about it?
No, I don't. And I don't want to know. Why are you so interested anyway?
Because, Nancy, I want to know what I'm getting myself involved with here. I'm an outsider, remember?
Tell you what. I'm getting out of here. Right now. I gotta get out of here.
Before you go, remember your brand? GFBD. God forgives, Brotherhood doesn't. Come here. You can't leave this place. Because if you do, you'll become the hunted.
Who cares, Stone? Let him kill me. Let him try. I'm gonna take my chances.
Nancy, listen to me. I came to the Brotherhood for one reason. To get what I want and get out. But that's not to say that I can't take you with me.
You would do that?
So I think we all see where this one's going. So there you go. That's that right there. He has a little talk with her. She tells him what's going on. So now he has a little more on them. And, they're going through. But what happens is Nancy is in there. And she's having lunch with him. They're talking. Her and Mr. Bosworth are talking. And he goes and he leaves the restaurant to go meet Lance. Now, while he's talking to Lance, he looks over, and who does he see? Ice. Sees him talking to Lance. He's got no choice now. He's got to kill Ice. He has no choice. He has to get Ice and either take him or kill him. One of the two. Cop's got to take him or he's got to die. Well, they get into a crazy motorcycle chase. Cars blowing up. Forsyth is going crazy. Forsyth dies. He ends up hitting a car going really fast, and he ends up dead. Now, remember, I had just told you a few minutes ago that Chains had called one of his trooper friends. Well, this is where Nancy finds out that Joe's a cop.
Hey, is Chains there?
No, he isn't.
Nancy, right?
Yeah?
This is Sharon in Biloxi.
He asked me to check out a prospect named John Stone.
A friend here let me access the mainframe. There's something funny. John Stone's driver's license is
Cross-indexed with a guy in Mobile named Joe Huff.
Joe Huff. Got it?
Yeah. Yeah, I got it.
So she doesn't find out he's a cop. And by the way, the FBI would never be this sloppy. This is sloppy. The FBI would have never been this sloppy back in the day to have those two names be able to be cross-checked like that. I don't believe that. But she doesn't know he's a cop. She just knows he has a different name and he's not who he says he is. But she hasn't figured out yet that he's a police officer. But I think this is where... I think he tells her right here, actually. Let's go ahead and play this clip. I wasn't planning on it, but why not?
Have a good time, buddy.
That was some disappearing act.
I had business.
Business? John Stone business? Or Joe Huff business?
What are you talking about?
A sister called from the highway patrol. She said the names are cross-referenced.
So what? I got a few names.
Look, Stone, there's a lot of things I can accept, and there's even more I can ignore. Look at me. Look right at me. Tell me you're not a cop.
You're out of my cop. Satisfied?
I'm not quite sure she believed him, but she did, more or less. Now, they take... Stop that. They take Ice and they give him a little funeral. Actually, what they do is they don't do that. He's still sitting on his motorcycle, all fucked up and dead, and they just burn him. Kind of a Viking funeral. Now, what's funny about this is as they're burning Ice's body, the day this scene was shot was actually the day that Brian Bosworth's football career ended. So it was kind of like a double funeral. But this is when they actually released him from, or let him know that he was not going to ever be playing football again. So they do that, and now he's talking to... I could play this scene too. Now, this is... Actually, I'm not going to. This is where the deal starts going down, the drug deal they made. And they have a third guy there who's playing the driver, who is going to also play the guy that gets shot. He's not... Brian Bosworth shoots him just to make himself look better to the motorcycle gang. But after that, Bosworth is driving the truck, and he's supposed to take him to where the deal goes down, but they don't. They change the plans. Here we go. Let's do this. Right here. Right there. I know I'm kind of back to my whole playing too many clips, but what a fucking movie.
What's going on, Chains? I thought this was my deal. Why the switch?
Time to crack the fucking whip.
Hey, what's the matter? Don't you trust me?
It doesn't matter where. This is how I do business, man.
Fine. We'll settle up later. Get off my horse.
So he smelled things weren't going right, and he takes off. He's like, something ain't right about this. So he goes to the cops, and they're like, what the hell happened? And he's like, I don't know. They switched everything up, so we couldn't do it. So now there's about $1 million of that drug out on the street, and they can't take it. But they also find out that their plan to crack the whip of the Whipperton is in motion. So Bosworth goes after the truck. That's what he does. He goes after the truck. He gets the truck. But But this is where the militia guy goes in and he's getting a bunch of military equipment and a military helicopter, which we did see. Now, this is the part where we see Chains finds out he's a cop.
Hey, man. We're having a little going away party. Glad you could make it. Who's leaving?
You are.
I see he's got Nancy in there with him, who obviously told him.
Betrayal is a bitch. A bitch.
Hola, amigo.
And there is the guy. There he is. That is the guy that he was supposed to have killed and taken his ear. But remember, the FBI took him, and obviously he was released, and here we go. That was it.
Time no see.
So I don't want to play much more, because what happens now is they obviously know he's a cop. They play a little Russian roulette with him. But what they do is they don't kill him. They kill Nancy. Puts a bullet right in her head, so she is no longer in this movie anymore. And somehow he gets the hell out of there. I forgot how. He just kind of, they actually take him on this job, is what they're doing. And they've got him tied up there, and they're getting ready for this job. They're building bombs. They're going to basically blow him up in the courthouse with this guy. He's the diversion, is what he's going to be. So they're setting everything up. They got military everywhere. They're going to the courthouse. And they're finally in the courthouse. So they're going through this whole thing. And there's Whipperton in the courthouse. Chains is in there dressed up as a priest. And they do end up killing Whipperton. Which brings up one of the probably most famous lines in the whole movie when he does it. And this is my last clip, because the rest of it is just explosions and fighting, and we'll just talk about it in a minute here. So, here we go.
Please.
Right. Coming up in a minute. A second.
You know, at a moment like this, I think of my father's last words, which were, "Don't, son, that gun is loaded."
So there you go. There's the whip. But Brian Bosworth has already gotten on the helicopter. Now they are riding motorcycles around this fucking courthouse and everything. They're just tearing shit up. But the military is outside too, and they're killing these fucking guys as they go. But these guys are riding motorcycles up the stairs. And again, remember, this wasn't CGI. These were real stuntmen. But Bosworth is in there threatening the militia guy who's flying the helicopter. It's just a fucking nightmare. They're all dying, all these guys. But Bosworth ends up jumping. We saw that where he landed in the Capitol building. We saw that in the trailer. And he's just taking these guys out one by one. He actually sends a motorcycle through a window that ends up taking out the chopper. So convenient. Then he ends up, him and Lance fight a little bit. He does end up killing Lance, of course. And that's pretty much it. This movie is over. Joe Huff is all good. You see, I actually forgot to take it off again there, and we strolled through it. But, but this is just, listen, this is one of those action movies I love to watch. You got shit blowing up. You got everything happening. So, just great. Now, here's what's funny. William Forsyth actually said in an interview that the original screenplay was the worst script he had ever read. He said originally everything that I said was Bible quotes. all of them. Another little interesting fact about this movie, Brian Bosworth actually admitted in an interview that his wife at the time purchased every edition of this film's DVD that had been released. So, there you go. Now, I know what you're going to ask. This movie was so good, why didn't they ever do a Stone Cold 2? Well, it had been in talks for a few years after this movie came out, but because many producers that made the first film had a stake in it, none of them wanted to sell their part, so basically they just left the production in limbo and they never made it. Henriksen and Forsyth actually came together for another biker-themed action movie called Film Savage in '85. That was before this movie, obviously. But again, you've got this movie here that is just so much fun to watch, I think. It's a quick movie. It's only like an hour and 32 minutes, so you're not killing your fucking, your whole day watching it, your whole night, whatever. But it is just a good, fun movie, in my opinion. I always like this movie. This is one I'll just kind of sit there and I'll put on all the time just while I'm doing stuff or anything. But I have always liked this movie. I will always love this movie. I think it is a great motorcycle biker type story and just a good action flick altogether. And knowing that they used all stuntmen and no CGI is also pretty good. If you watch the movie, you'll see a lot more stunts that I didn't show. But really a great movie, and I think that if you have not seen this movie, Stone Cold from 1990, if you have not seen this, please seek it out. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere right now. Let's take a look and see if it's streaming. Let's see. Stone Cold 1991. Actually, you can watch it on Pluto TV right now. Pluto TV has it streaming, so if you do want to watch this movie, Pluto TV, you'll have some commercials, but that's not a big deal. But this is definitely a movie that if you have not watched the whole thing, seek it out, watch it, go check it out on Pluto. It's a fun movie to watch. It's a great movie. The cast, besides Brian Bosworth, you got, like I said, Lance Henriksen and William Forsyth, two powerhouse actors. Even by today's standards, they're great actors. So definitely one that you guys should check out if you have not. I want to thank anyone who's going to listen to this. Thanks to anyone who watches this on YouTube. I am always live on Mixler when I remember to connect. Saturday nights, 8:30 or 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So definitely check it out next week. I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I will get something done. But I had a great time doing this one. I was glad I got to watch this movie today, which is even more fun. So it was just great to be able to talk about this movie tonight with everybody. And I hope you check it out if you haven't seen it. But on that note, don't forget to check out Wrestling Outlet, me and Smark on YouTube. Go over there, type Wrestling Outlet. We'll pop right up. We are there Thursday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We are talking everything wrestling and more. So come check us out. And like I said, I'll be back here Saturday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. One more time with Hollywood Hangout. Everybody, once again, I am Boxman. And thank you so much for checking out Hollywood Hangout. Talk to y'all later.